welcome to the evolution of a rock hunter. Well, it's about that time. We're going to call it, bags underneath my eyes. We're going to call this, remember, we're evolving. We're going to call this prospecting by saw. Now, this material that I'm going to show in this episode is actually from the pursuit of the new Pseudo 1, 2, and 3. When we found Mr. Pocket with a copper mine with no name, well, I will actually go from the highlight of number 1 to into some of the material of number 2, and then, of course, some of the material that was on, in that, the copper mine with no name, Mr. Pocket. So anyway, sit back. We're going to call this prospecting by saw. It's going to be a little bit different. This is a contrarian. Like I said, I paid attention, and some of the things that just got old looking and watching. Well, let's see if we can just break some of that monotony. So anyway, let's have fun. So what I chose to do is kind of step through. I've got a little bit of a mineral oil on a rag, and we're going to go through some of this material. As you can see, you didn't have to sit there and watch it get cut, so forth. You get to see the end result. So on the pursuit of the Pseudo number 1, when we were in totally different new territory, this large calcite geode / nodule, you can see it's a nodule, actually ended up being the most interesting find that we actually found on that. Let me see here if I get that thing to zero on in the best I possibly can. Well, anyway, that right there cleaned up quite nice. I just put it in a little bit of muriatic acid for about 10 minutes, and it got those calcite crystals shining quite nicely. Well, as we progressed into the Pseudo of 2, we were going up that, what I call the big alluvial fan. It's actually just a big ridge, but we were addressing it from the alluvial fan. Now, one thing that you can do is you can always, if for some reason you don't understand some of the terminology, if it's not just a nickname, Siri does a pretty good job of that. And maybe I'll put some little screenshots of what an alluvial fan is. Well, anyway, I threw an igneous intrusion in there. Well, Siri, I looked, and it actually had a pretty decent thing. So it's amazing what you recall from your college days. So, needless to say, the best that we could find up in there was this pretty solid material that had some blue trace in it. Kind of looked a little bit, it had interest. We could see a little bit of the calcites and so forth. Well, as you can see, this is what it turned into. Now let me see if that camera will focus that in. See if we can get in there. But anyway, quite interesting. There's these little, it's quite stable. It's got some little jersey plates in there. Little tiny fortifications. So, if I go here, get the glare off, you can really see those little fortifications. Kind of pretty. So I took another slab. Well, as you can see, so I have no clue what's going on. But it's definitely got its own interest in itself. So just trying to see if that will focus, because I will play around a little bit with vertical and see if I can zoom in on these. This is wide angle. So when we went along, that was probably the best material that we picked off of the ridgeline. So as we dropped into the canyon, started getting, I thought, well, we hit that old clay marker. And so I started looking around and I started seeing a copper deposit. Well, this is one that I cut. Now let me see if I can get those coppers to flicker. So you can see that one right there. See how that copper is just banging? Well, but when I cut it, I'm pretty sure it is a copper ore of some kind. But let me see if I can dress that with a little bit of mineral oil. Okay, well, it's interesting. It's solid, definitely different, and it's above my head of exactly what it is. So we've got to do a little bit more of experimentation with that. So as we took a couple of them, here's another interesting one that came out of there. And I'm rubbing this and get a little bit of shine on there. I like it better than water because at least it holds there for a second. We've got a little bit of a tortoise shell that's going on with fortification. It's got some fractures, but by gosh, this is, again, different material. So geology is just amazing, but that tortoise pattern right there, it's kind of bridgeated. That's actually relatively stable. There's not a whole lot of fracturing right there. So we're going to be investigating that. So that rock and this copper one basically came off of that area of that side hill. Okay. As we're progressing along and through, well, you remember, this is the one, I mean, Wayward Woodard would frown to actually, I was comparing it to a Fairburn. It's not even close to being a Fairburn, but it's interesting. Then it was sticking out. Well, when I turned it over, and I showed this many a time, it was beautiful blue. Well, I don't know if it was a chunk of opal, but as soon as it was exposed to the environment for about 24 hours, it turned into more of a white potch. So I went ahead and I actually cut this right where that blue was. The blue was white, but you could see we have like a very translucent calcinium inside there with blue fortification around it, and it's solid. So where did our blue go? Our blue was I said, I do not know why in the world it would have done that. But it actually, the blue, the longer it was exposed, the less and less blue. A lot of times on this prospecting by saw, you really got to cut your material and actually let it sit and be exposed. Because sometimes I've had them before where, hey, remember, we're exposing these to the environment for the first time, and sometimes they'll actually fracture following the cutting after they sit. It's kind of like a dry out time. I would actually, before I messed around with any material, I'd let it sit for at least a week in the room temperature just to see what it would do before you get to polishing on it and so forth and having the fractures. Now we're going to get into a little more of when we hit the copper mine of no name, Mr. Pocket. Well, as you can see, this is very, very pretty material. I don't have to wet it down. I'm hoping this Gets nice and focused so you can see some of the diversity of this. And so we cut it. And as you can see, those copper, kind of a copper gold veins inside there. Let me see if I can get how close I can get, because I might, I said, have to be forced to integrate some vertical on this. And I think I'll go before I head for the house. I'll actually put that in there. But that was, where is it? Well, here's another one that we cut. Now look at this. Now let's get a little bit of mineral oil on there. Look at that. Pretty, see, so the diversity. So now we've got blues. It's pretty solid. See how that material is so diverse. I really think it's pretty special, that copper mine with no name. I'd have never have found it if I wouldn't have just endeavored to persevere. And here's the sister side of it. It's pretty dang nice material. This here, let me get that rag here real quick. Put some oil on here. Oh, sorry for the finger. Okay. I've been trying to, on a studio, and it just seems like it's better just to use my hands here. But if you can see, it's got fracture, but see, that red is through there. Now, there's not too much of this, but that's what it looks like. It looks like that fire agate that these individuals towards Graveyard Point somewhere, southern Idaho, is finding, as far as I know. But you see, that red is actually quite pretty. A little bit fractured. As you can see, the diversity of that. Now, so we had that. So this was actually a star on the very end of the Mr. Pocket video. Okay, you can see without that natural light, where did all those yellows and things start protruding through? This is just gorgeous. And it's quite stable. Now, I chose to take this piece because it was quite heavily agatized. So you can see all the agate. You can see the pluming, and you see the red venation that's going down and through there. So that looked awful pretty in the natural sunlight. You can see here's some stone. Let's pick this one up, see what it looks like. Again, everything's so diverse. It's got little fortifications. It's got everything. It looks like fossilization, but I know it's not. There's no way. It is a mixture of agate. It's got some opal, but I haven't seen any fire. But there, Mr. Pocket's got a heck of a vein that still has to be explored. So you can see all the host and the brecciated. I don't know if I call it similar to ocean pitcher stone. And ocean pitcher stone is actually a material that a gentleman actually in British Columbia has made quite popular. He's got a claim on it, and it reminds me, it's definitely not the same, but it reminds me, he's got a lot of matrix that causes the beach look. He's got blues that actually create the ocean, and then there's the sky, and it's more linear, so it has more of a horizontal banding, not quite as random as what a lot of this is. Now, this one right here was a completely different looking unit. So we've actually got some violets in there. Now look at the sprays that are in that right there. Okay, we've got some fracturing, we've got a quartz pocket, we've got pretty translucent violety colored calcinium in there. So this was one piece. I knew it was different, so we're going to go ahead and this is the first cut off the tip. Like I said, I'm trying to do my best so we can see the difference in colors, and so we get to keep the glares off. But anyway, we got that, and then we have all of a sudden, boom, you know. So you look, and it's like, wow, look at that. It looks like a centipede in there, but there is a fracture, so forth. You know what I say about fractures. So anyway, so we kept going, and our little centipede is still there. Now we got fractures. We got some citrine of some kind that's encroaching into that quartz. But this is what that one looks like on the outside. This one doesn't have all the greens. So I chose to take this one off so I could see it. So you can see the difference. I've got violets, and then I've got greens. Same general location. And then you have something that doesn't have near as much calcinium. And look at that. This is in the same, the copper mine with no name. That's quite interesting. And the last of all was this one here. Now, if you look, you can see he's kind of got like malachite on the top of him. You can see he's got quite a bit of agate within him. Well, look what he looks like. Now that you could call river stone, because to me it looks like islands with a river points, you know, with a river flowing through it with beaches. Maybe, I mean, you could call it island stone. But anyway, very, very diverse material in that particular spot. Now look at how thin that's cut, but look how stable that is. There's hardly even a fracture at all around those portions of that matrix. So I am trying to be a contrarian, trying to do things differently than what I have seen people do. That's just my nature. And I'm trying to make it to where it's more interesting for folks. So, but I will be releasing a short that really shows the detail of my patented, the gift for Christmas is basically my little jig. These little jigs are fantastic. So you can see how odd shaped that is. Okay, I want to see how racked and so forth it can be. All it is, you don't even have to, if you drill your holes the same diameter as the bolt, as you see in the short, and then I'll go into maybe larger detail. But anyway, then you clamp it into the actual the saw, as far as Cummington, the vise, which I think is by far superior what I've seen. You don't end up chewing your vise all to shreds and this and that. And every once in a while, this will get racked enough that I might put a spacer in, but it is independent within the rack. That's the key. And then, well, look at this. This came out of the same locality. So the diversity is just absolutely astronomical. The diversity of that. Now look at those. Look at it's got tight fortifications, hardly a fracture. It's got a little bit of depressions in a couple of places, pits, whatever, but pretty dang solid. And I have no flying clue what makes it the way it is. So anyway, I feel as if this prospecting by saw, we can do a Shazam, which we will do more during the course of time, but I'm trying to show, okay, through the endeavor and to persevere and to capture and to look for the quest for a new pseudo. Well, recap, we found that and a little bit of a banded jasper, if you'll remember. A little bit of what I would think was kind of a fractured agatized wood, petrified wood, agatized wood. Then pretty uneventful, and then we come across this material again to recap, which is downright beautiful in its own way. Look at how beautiful that is. I think my lighting's about right. I'm not casting any shadows. Remember, I'm evolving here. And here's the mother stone. Then, of course, our copper, which didn't do a whole lot. You can see the copper in it. See those round, the raw native copper? The bugger will flash those, and it can't be like a pyrite or something like that. It's got to be a copper. I mean, that looks like a piece of Romex tip shining right in front of me right there. They're just all over. If you was, oh, look how those things just grab that light. Would you imagine cutting this and all of a sudden seeing a big band of native copper? It would be beautiful. But again, this feels heavier than a normal material. Okay, again, that's got its own look. It's a wonderful, wonderful material. Okay, with that turtle, can you imagine? We'll get to it. I'll be looking at it. But the thing is you gotta do the science. Follow the science the best you can. You can get lost so fast. I was doing a pretty decent job at the first, and I still haven't shown you the episode when I picked up what I've nicknamed Starry Night. That's still my favorite nodule, and I haven't even polished any of it yet. These are all non-polished. And I will be showing what I feel is the best polishing for a person that it's not after museum quality on most things, but it's not also putting urethane clear, which you are going to see in the future on the evolution. There's going to be some things that we're going to have fun with. And you're going to think some traditionalists will get mad at me, but I'm going to have fun with some crystal plates and so forth. I have powdered pearls, the same principle as ghost flames. I can make something really talk if I merge lapidary with collision repair. And remember that my specialty is collision repair. This one here, I think we neglected to talk about. This is one that just started. I think it was one of the very first ones on the second day that I picked off that ridge. Well, you can see, we kind of call this countertop, but it's got a banded calcinian, and then it turns into this kind of a fog of a material within, but there's no fractures. It's actually very pure. And it looked like a nothing, but look what's on the outside. Okay. This probably came out of the actual, recant that, came out of that area that I was all hyper because it had that one that kind of looked like a Fairburn pattern, the fortification. See how blue that is? It still hasn't turned white. Okay, but it's only in that band. There's a little band of it that's going around, but it didn't really penetrate that much within. So I still don't know what the heck it is. So maybe we'll find our holy grail, but that's nice that it at least has a little bit of blue left. And so we can, because that other one just went white as a ghost within 24 hours. So I prefer that. We'll see how people gravitate towards the prospecting by saw. I'm sorry, but that the old high-tech lapidary, she's for trimming, but she's over there collecting dust right now. I just have more fun letting the saws do the work, getting out of the road, do something, heck almighty, multitask. Heck, I can come over here and polish, I can do whatever, and actually have a way better time than standing there getting splashed on and end up doing a turd. And we'll call the turd of the bunch is probably our copper. And you go, why in the world? And you do everything you can to actually prevent that. Some of these materials, when they get quite agatized, they are so hard. That saw, I was doing everything I could. And I haven't done mineral oil within that high-tech lapidary. They're $800-900. And I don't know, money don't just fall off the tree. So that's one thing about on the Evolution. I'm going to try my best to bust some of the pits that people can fall into. There's some great tile saws out there that $200-300 maximum. Believe me, I work with my hands daily, and the water just doesn't cool it fast enough. The mineral oil was going to be dang messy, and if a person made a box around it, then you can potentially have something that works better. But I have tried multiple blades. I'm sorry, we're going to take a little rodeo over here. This is that little saw. This is that 12-incher. And this little saw is a dream boat. It's got, I've seen, again, this is not an inexpensive saw. But it's kind of like you just got to do everything you can to skip there's no shortcuts. There's just big leaps, big bounces. The cabbing equipment is one that I, again, wish I would have spent more money. I got an entrance level one. It's quite nice, but I can't stand the flat or the angle lap. I've tried, and that thing is just miserable. It takes me 5 times as long as it does the method that I'll be showing. And that one actually, I jumped backwards, and that's used in commonplace in countertops, solid surface countertops, and in homes and so forth, and they actually do a very nice product. So anyway, well, I will turn the camera around, but this saw here, Christina's been just a-going to town. I mentioned in one of the episodes the moose antler, and here's some moose antlers and things right there that, no, hey, you can't you know, beat that with a stick when you're out there prospecting and never backtracking and finding antlers and sheds and stuff like that. That's kind of nice. Dead heads. But anyway, this might be kind of interesting to do it this way. We'll call it Shazam, snap my fingers, whatever, and to step you through prospecting by saw. So now we've got a little bit of a different viewpoint of what we were finding, because we do. I mean, we have the star here that we showed. Okay, just shining, that mineral, just a shining. People wear gloves, wear respirators. Don't follow me for what I do, but my hands have been in a lot worse material than mineral oil. But please do a respirator. That's one thing that I need to do is actually get these saws vented outside. You can see that the shop is not completely done. It's getting there. When I film the second episode of constructing a rock shop, well, it's going to be a lot more organized than it is now. So it's winter, it's near Christmas, we've got snow on the ground, but this is kind of fun. Look at that there. Look at that. Pretty neat. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. First official episode of Prospecting by Saw. So anyway, I hope you're having fun. Please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up, because when you're just starting, it's hard to get that algorithm to grab a hold of you. But I truly believe that the evolution is going to have something for a lot of people to enjoy. You take care.